What's happening, guys? So I just got back from Portland last night, and I'm finally well rested enough. I feel like I can actually sit down and share what I saw and what I did at the Expo. So I've actually been wanting to go to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo for a while now. Ever since I saw a few videos on it, and back in 2012 I've been wanting to go, and last year I just didn't have the income or the time to make it, but finally this year I actually sat down and decided I was going to go, so I went out and flew out to Portland last Friday. Unfortunately, my flight was after the sunset, so I couldn't see too much of the city, so as soon as I got to my hotel, I pretty much just went to bed as soon as I got there, because the expo would be starting the following morning. The building the expo is hosted in is actually really cool. There's two super big towers that are pretty much made of glass in them, so the building is actually pretty recognizable from a distance, which is pretty cool. I ended up going to the expo pretty much about an hour before doors, since I figured there'd be a line, since I've seen in some other people's videos of the expo there can be a pretty long line on the first morning, so luckily I was about 50th, maybe 70th in line, so I got in pretty quickly once they actually did doors. Once I entered the showroom, it was actually pretty overwhelming. There were tons and tons of booths, and a lot of them were selling things I'd been looking for a while, and more obscure games that I was able to find usually ever in Denver, so it was pretty exciting, but super overwhelming when I first walked in as to what I should be looking for. I really wish I had gone in with a list of the games that I was looking for, but I did manage to find quite a few that I'd been looking for a while, and I got a pretty good deal on them. The prices on average were pretty good. However, some of the resellers did have somewhat pricier games than probably where they should have been priced, but for the most part, if you bundled or if you talked to them, haggled a little bit, you could maybe get a couple dollars off most of the games, so you could find quite a few really good deals there. I ended up wandering the floor most of the first day. I managed to meet up with Vintage Video Game Geek and NES Complex on the floor, and they actually introduced me to Aaron from Retro Liberty, which was pretty cool to meet. Also on the floor, I managed to meet Rue from 16-Bit Gems, which was pretty cool, because I've always really enjoyed his review style and actually kind of base the videos that I do off of what he does, so it was really cool to meet him, and he was a really nice guy and signed my copy of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest that I had found earlier that day, since I always found that review that he did of it really good. I also got to meet up with Super Derek the first day, who makes really good videos, especially his RPG reviews are pretty impressive, and I've always kind of enjoyed them, so it was really nice to meet him in person finally. The only panel I managed to make it to on the first day was the Happy Console Gamer, Rob Man, and Alpha Omega Sin panel, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching it. After that panel, we ended up going out to dinner with a whole bunch of other pretty major YouTubers. Retro Liberty was there, NES Complex, Vintage Video Game Geek, Greg from Arcade Impossible, Wee Guy 309 from 8-Bit Stereo. We're all having dinner with us, and it was a really good time. I had some good conversations with them, and I really enjoyed it. After dinner, most of us headed back to the expo. The showroom floor had closed, but the arcade was still open. And I went out and checked out some of the games. During the day, most of the games were pretty hard to actually play because there was just so many people there. Almost every arcade unit was constantly in use, but it's not often that you get to see free-to-play arcade cabinets, so I was pretty stoked to see that. And I ended up meeting up with Greg from Arcade Impossible, and I watched him do a 2 million score on Robotron, which was super impressive. I've always wanted to play Robotron after hearing about it on the Retro Rejects podcast. However, in my area, I haven't actually seen any of the cabinets anywhere. So seeing it at the expo was actually really cool, and it's a really hard game, and seeing Greg play it at that level is actually incredibly impressive. It was pretty awesome to watch. After wandering around the arcade for a little bit, I ended up deciding to go in and check out some of the musical performances that were happening. They had some comedians and later night musical performances, so I went in and checked out Brental Floss's performance, which was pretty cool. I am not as familiar with his work as probably most of the people there, but it was fun to watch him perform, and I thought it was an alright time.
Guy does not actually, I've never seen him with a plunger, much less a toilet. And he's gonna go and be a doctor. Gonna cure disease by tossing pills in a jar. Because that's what you do when you're a doctor, I guess. According to Japan. Anyway, so this is Dr. Mario with lyrics. Here it goes. I am Dr. Mario and I am saving lives. I look different in this game. I lost my hat, gotta go, let's go. I am Dr. Mario and I prescribe high fives. Laughter's the best medicine, so that'll be $20. In the Mushroom Kingdom, I'm the finest dog by far. I got my degree by watching houses built and eat our brightly colored pill. They'll cure all your heat, just as long as you got fever or the chills. Or take off your pants. Good. Now let's see. Wait, now here's what I do it. Turn your head and look off. Okay, now do me. Please, does it hurt to pee? Is it hard to see? I am diagnosing you with HPV. You got mononucleosis, halitosis, scoliosis, 50 days is my prognosis. You need red and blue pill doses. Scabies, phlebitis, chronic rabies, hepatitis. You'll be brave and you'll unite us. Then you'll know it, meningitis. Wait. I'm wrong. You have Ebola. Brightly colored pills, they're cure all your ills, just as long as you got fever or the chills. Time for a piano solo. Dr. Mario.
So I ended up heading back to my hotel and went to bed waiting for the next day. The next morning I was sort of faced with a dilemma because there was two panels that I wanted to catch that morning. Rue was doing a preservation of old video games panel at the same time that Retro Liberty and NES Complex were doing their panel, so I had to choose which one I was going with, and I kind of got to the expo a little bit late, so there was only a few minutes left of Rue's, so I ended up just deciding to hop in on the NES Complex / Retro Liberty panel, which was a panel where they were handing out games if you were able to guess game music that they were playing over the PA.
Alright, here we go. This one shouldn't be too bad.
This is from the 64, right? Oh wait, I should.
You didn't say the game, so that's not.
Oh yeah, my bad. Is that Kirby 64?
Rephrase your answer a little.
We can't.
Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards?
Oh, we're not. Yeah, it doesn't have to be
wait,
that
no.
specific.
It's Kirby. No, it's Kirby.
The dude behind you is really happy.
Or not, he doesn't look that happy. He's like, I don't know. You better get it right. I have no idea what it is.
Is it Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland?
There it is. Don't claim your prize. Yeah, that's the worst. What are you gonna grab, sir?
What shall you choose?
I wasn't actually able to guess any of the games that they played, although I got there kind of late, so they were kind of getting down to the more harder ones. The song they ended up playing for me was a song from Super Mario Bros. DX, which I guessed was Mario 2, but I wasn't right. But I did get the consolation prize after the panel was over of Jaws from LJN on the NES, which was pretty cool. And then after that panel was over, Wood from Beat 'em Ups actually tossed me a copy of Donkey Kong for ColecoVision, so I walked out of there with 2 games. However, the guy I was staying with, Wee Guy 309, actually ended up cleaning out that panel pretty good. Since his channel is pretty much based around gaming music, he was able to guess, I think, 5 of the questions that, or of the songs that he was up there to try and win something for. After that panel, I ended up meeting the couple that makes the Girlfriend Versus channel, which was pretty cool because we've kind of talked in the comments on their channel before, so it was pretty cool to see them in person. After hanging around and talking to everyone for a little bit after the NES Complex and Retro Liberty panel, I went back to the showroom floor to see if any of the vendors had updated any of their games, and I kind of been trying to pace myself the first day to buy things on the second. And the one thing I saw the day before that I couldn't get off my mind the entire night when I was sleeping was I was looking for a copy of Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, which I have the box for and the manual and all the goodies that came with it, but I didn't have the actual game because I lent it to someone who lost it several years ago. I had originally planned on going to the the NES Punk panel around this time, but I ended up getting caught up on the floor just kind of looking for a copy of Lunar and a couple other games. I was kind of trying to find a copy of Final Fantasy II as well, and possibly Secret of Mana, because those are two Super Nintendo RPGs that I used to own, but have gone missing over the years. So I kind of got hung up doing that and ended up completely missing Pat's panel. But I did realize in time that the All Gen Gamers panel was about to start, so I ended up heading over to the panel room around the afternoon and checked that out. I actually just got into the All Gen Gamers podcast fairly recently, so it was actually pretty cool to go in and see their panel and talk to them. They weren't actually like doing a podcast there, but they did a Q&A and they talked about some upcoming games and older games, and it was pretty interesting. I found it to be a pretty good panel, and I enjoyed stopping by. After the All Gen Gamers panel, I ended up heading back to the showroom where I actually was able to meet Alpha Omega Sin and the Happy Console Gamer on the floor. Both of those dudes actually are incredibly nice guys. I was super stoked to meet them. And as I wandered around the showroom floor on the second day, the prices just kept dropping and dropping until the last few hours, when places were just having insane flash sales. Many places were offering 33% off and even free things, 50% off. Things were getting really cheap in the last few hours. I ended up getting some bundle deals and doing a bit of haggling in those last few hours and picked up quite a few games by the end of the day. My bag was actually pretty heavy. Unfortunately, after the expo was over, I was unable to make it to the after party because of where I was staying that night. It just wasn't reasonable to try and go. I really wanted to make it to ground control for the after party since I hadn't made it any of the other nights, but I'll probably be going back again to Portland next year because this convention was a lot of fun. And I can see it just getting better and better. Everyone I talked to there was super nice, and everyone also was saying that this was the biggest one they've ever had, so I can only see it growing just because it's such an excellent experience, and I would really highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in going. I would say just take the plunge and do it. It's just a blast.